Donald Trump is panicking as Iran has flipped the script and set its own war deadline. Iran is now saying we're not going to sit around and wait as Donald Trump manipulates the market and says a deal is imminent while he continues the blockade on the Persian Gulf, while Iran actually controls the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is saying, if you don't meet our deadline, we are going to go on the offense because we view your blockade, United States, Donald Trump, as an act of war. And we're putting our Arab nation neighbors on notice that they better rein you in. And if we are unable to do a deal in the next few weeks, is what Iran is saying, that looks exactly like the MOU which you previously signed, then we are going to go on the offense. And Iran has told Reuters what that means. That means it could be cutting some of the internet infrastructure, which resides below the Strait of Hormuz. People forget that. A lot of the critical internet infrastructure connecting the rest of the world with the Middle East is right there under the Strait of Hormuz, and there are very vulnerable cables that you can just cut. And so that's one of the things Iran is saying that their escalation would look like. Iran is also saying that they're not going to rule out occupying American military bases, which have since been abandoned in places like Kuwait. And they're saying, look, these bases were used against us. We will now escalate by potentially going into Kuwait. And we know the United States has run out of weapons. We know that the U.S. doesn't have its interceptors anymore, that it doesn't even have its offensive capabilities with the ATACMS, and that Donald Trump is now rushing to do this $25, $30, $40, $50 billion deal with Raytheon for more Tomahawks because the U.S. ran out of offensive capabilities as well, and the U.S. has abandoned its bases in the Middle East. So this is what Reuters was reporting this morning. The headline is that Iran threatens to go on the offense if Strait of Hormuz diplomacy fails with the United States. The Iranian official told Reuters Iran will send its own deadline to the U.S. and mediating countries. Meet our demands, which were laid out in the MOU, or else. We're not playing around. Also, we know the Ayatollah has promoted a new group of leadership, most of the same cast of characters we've talked about before, but to additional military leadership positions with the goal of the IRGC having more robust offensive capabilities. This comes at the same time as the Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday night Iran's secret plan to escalate the war. Iran's IRGC has finished planning a massive preemptive strike against certain U.S. and Israeli targets in the Middle East in the event the U.S. does not stop its blockade or in the event Donald Trump escalates. Now, Iran kind of preemptively put this message out, knowing that Donald Trump would manipulate the market yet again. And that's exactly what Donald Trump did. It's Monday, the market opens. Donald Trump usually goes to either Barak Ravid or Trey Yingst. And both of these individuals are located in Tel Aviv, and they're his main propagandists. So Yingst reports from Tel Aviv, Barak Ravid from Axios also reports from Israel, and they usually pump out a Donald Trump message right on Monday morning before the markets open. Either that or when things get very dire, the Trump regime sends out Treasury Secretary Bessent to go on CNBC, which is a network about the stock market, basically, and business, and then they manipulate the market that way. So Iran predicted correctly. That's why they got out their stories first, and they put out their warning and their deadline first. So you had Yingst over on state regime media, which calls itself Fox, and here the Fox host says, and Donald Trump has said. After Donald Trump has said every word thereafter is going to be a lie, Donald Trump has said he has opened up a back channel with the IRGC and they are working closely on doing a deal. And then the IRGC responded and said, nope, that ain't happening. This just reflects how utterly desperate he is. Here's the IRGC statement. This reflects Donald Trump's delusions and nightmares resulting from defeat and desperation in the war. The IRGC says there are no talks between IRGC officials and Americans. This lie from Trump is simple fantasies that he is experiencing due to delusions and nightmares resulting from defeat and desperation in the war. The IRGC communicated this to Tasnim News, which is the Iranian state news network. Trump is trying to temporarily control the price of oil and energy in the world with these statements, but he only has one real path ahead of him, and that is to accept defeat and implement the conditions that Iran has set. The IRGC concluded to Tasneem, the sooner the Americans accept their failure and make decisions based on that, the more they will save their country from greater and more significant losses. So here's Donald Trump talking to a Fox host, and here the Fox host says that Donald Trump told him, we have a back channel with the IRGC. Here, play this clip.
The president about the communication with the Iranians. And interestingly, President Trump confirmed to Fox News that there is a back channel with the IRGC. These are the hardline officials inside of Iran, and that the United States and officials in Washington are speaking directly with IRGC officials in Iran. This is another indication that the Trump administration is not just dealing with the political echelon in Tehran, but also some of these hardliners that have launched attacks against U.S. forces.
And then, as we're used to Donald Trump's erratic and despicable behavior, he then says that if Oman gets in the way of a deal with Iran, Donald Trump says, I will blow the shit out of Oman. And again, this is why Donald Trump does not have the temperament. He does not have the emotional maturity, would be saying it so nicely because it's far worse than that, to be in a position of leadership that impacts the lives of people, yet alone our service members, yet alone the country, yet alone the world. I'm going to blow the shit out of Oman. Oman, really? Because Oman is currently negotiating with Iran right now, not with the United States involvement, regarding the route that will be used in the Strait of Hormuz, not for the United States, but based on Iran's future control of the Strait of Hormuz. And Oman is kind of a neutral party before all of this. They were the mediator selected by the United States back in February to do a deal between Iran and the United States. And the Omani foreign minister did a deal that would have been stronger than even Obama's JCPOA. And then late February, Donald Trump and Netanyahu invade Iran after the Omani foreign minister announces that a deal was done that was stronger than the JCPOA. So Donald Trump just alienating everyone and now threatening to bomb the shit out of Oman, which plays right into Iran's messaging as well, which is this is why we need alliances of Arab nations that then work more closely with China and repel the United States from this region. I mean, Trump proves the thesis when he does things like this. Here, play this clip of him saying, we're going to bomb the shit out of them. Here, play this clip.
Now, I asked the president about these parallel talks that are taking place between Iran and Oman about control of the Strait of Hormuz. And the president told Fox News, if Oman gets in the way, we'll bomb the S out of them. We went on to talk about...
And then Donald Trump says, and if Iran doesn't do a deal with us, they need to wave the white flag of surrender. Again, you see how desperate he is. He's been saying this now, raise the white flag of surrender, and they shall be saying, Donald and Allah, we love you. Like, he says the weirdest stuff, Donald Trump, too, and the most deranged stuff. Here, listen to what he has to say. Play this clip.
The president told Fox News Iran should raise the white flag of surrender. He went on to say, I have no time schedule. I'm not in a hurry. The president indicating that the U.S. naval blockade is continuing to put new economic pressure on the Iranian regime, despite what the Iranians have said publicly. He said they're good poker players, but they're dying, and that the midterms.
And then Donald Trump says, and we have so much munitions. The depletion, it's like peanuts. Then he goes on to say, but if we did lose our munitions, well, that's Biden's fault. Biden did it. Really? Biden was the one who brought you into this catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran. That was Biden's fault? It's Biden's fault that 2 years in, you've gone into wars all over the place. That's Biden's fault? Listen to what Trump has to say here. Play this clip.
That are currently stationed in the Middle East. The president says what we've used so far is peanuts. He went on to say the United States has a lot of mid-level weapons and that many of the more advanced systems, the president says, were given away by President Biden to Ukraine, for example, when we're talking about air defense that is needed right now in the Middle East.